Okay. All right. Okay, we're on. Okay, guys, good luck.
Bu, countdown ya, Bu. Bu Ai countdown ya, supaya kita juga bisa...
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready. Dah, Bu Eka, thank you. Ya, silakan.
Okay, good morning, audiences.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, respected teachers, guests, proud parents, and beloved students. Welcome to Chika Bincang Bincang, one of the activities in our Playground of Chika learning event. Thank you so much for coming today. So first and foremost, let me introduce myself. I am Zia from Sekolah Chika Setu. And here I have my partner, Pak Rizky Prasadana from Chika Surabaya, who will be leading you all through the closing session. And today we both will be the moderators for this session, so I hope you enjoy. So before we begin, let us give you a picture of what to expect in this session. So here we have Radiza Kisha and Jamima Jasmine from Year 10 Sekolah Cika Serpong that will lead you in their activity where they will have a discussion with the title of Visual Art and English Project. And during the session, we highly encourage you to participate by typing in your questions in the question box feature for the Zoom or YouTube. So then later on, we can discuss about it in the Q&A session. Okay, so now let's give a round of applause and a warm welcome to our students, to Radiza and Jamima. The time is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so glad you're able to join us today.
Allow us to introduce ourselves. I'm Radiza.
And I'm Gemma. Today, we would like to share with you all about our learning experience throughout the second semester of our visual arts class and English literature class with you all.
Before we go into it, I'd like to give everyone a little brief of what our visual art programs was about. Contemporary art, the art of today. Although it may sound simple, the meaning itself is sometimes still a bit vague, as the interpretations of today are varied and wide.
Throughout the semester, we mostly revolved around the topic of contemporary art throughout our class, what it's about, and how we interpret that style of art into our artworks. Now, contemporary artists, they usually work in a globally influenced, culturally diverse, and technologically advancing world. They tend to experiment with mixed media as a way of bringing more life into their artworks. And here are a few examples of contemporary artworks by a few artists. The first one is called A Weather Project by Olafur Eliasson. As you can see, this artist experimented a lot with lighting, light bulbs, and other elements such as mists. And he also brought the audience into the artwork, as I said, a way of bringing more life into their artwork. And he used this big room, this big hall, where all the audience can enjoy the artwork. And the second one is also similar to this one. It is called A Light of Life by Yayoi Kusama. Similar to the one before, she also experimented a lot with mediums such as mirrored boxes and LED lights. And from these two artworks, we can see how contemporary art is a little bit more unique than just paint and a canvas. And this shows that there are so many things that we can do with art. And yeah.
We were given the freedom to explore more about contemporary art during this semester. We were told to research and find out as much as we can about it. And from there, we were able to interpret the style into our artworks in however way we want. And the first example is my sketches. I call it Sketches of Mine, of My Mind. This is the second assignment during this semester. We were told to draw some sketches for our summatives. And what I choose to draw here, as you can see, there's eyes crying, there's books with the saying far from reality, and then there's the other one. I just keep writing things in the background. It says sleepless nights. I decided to just draw like this because I want to try using symbols as my artwork. I want to try using symbols. Yeah.
And this one is my artwork. I gave it a title, An Escape from Reality. This was a part of my summative for this last term. And as you can see, I created this little drawing, this little sketch, which I completed with some paint, colored pencils, and I tried to use some stickers and magazine cutouts as a way of experimenting with a little bit of mixed media. So mostly my sketch was about my love for movies and how much I love movies. Like, especially during quarantine, I find myself more interested in movies and I watch it a lot. And I view movies as a way, as kind of an escape from reality. That's why I gave it this title, because, you know, it's not real, and it's kind of, a lot of people find it relaxing to watch movies. You know, whenever someone's having a hard day or a hard time, especially me, I find myself watching movies a lot, and as a way to sort of clear my mind of all the negativity that's going around. And that is why I called it An Escape from Reality. And throughout the process of this artwork and creating this artwork, there were definitely a lot of things I went through. And obviously throughout the process of this term, this semester, there were so many things I was able to learn. But mostly what I learned and kind of sort of realized from contemporary art and just art in general is that anything can be used to express art, and art can be used to express anything. So that's kind of sort of like, an artwork can tell any story of our choosing. Like, we're able to tell anything through art, and any material can be used to create an artwork. And that's really shown through contemporary art, because it doesn't always have to be paint and a canvas. Contemporary art really showed how unique it is and how it's a bit different and modern. And yeah, like I said before, really anything can be used to create art. It doesn't even have to be something that's, amazing or a masterpiece or anything like that. But, mostly art is like how we express our emotions, Do you think so, Radiza?
Yes, I would think the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you view art from your perspective?
I would say art is a way is my way, like, to express what I'm feeling, of what's in my mind, and all that. And I use art every day. I draw, I paint. And for me, art isn't just, again, isn't just about canvas or painting or like that. Writing can be counted as art. Even dancing or something like that is an art too. So what Gemma said, art can be anything in any form. So yeah, it really is like something that we can use to express anything.
And as I said before, obviously, throughout the process of creating our artworks, there were a lot of challenges we faced. And mostly for me, I faced a lot of like lack of motivation and lack of creativity and inspiration. Obviously, we had to use a lot of our thoughts throughout the process to create this artwork. And it was quite difficult, especially in the beginning, like figuring out what we want to create, what our artwork was going to be about. You know, we were given the freedom to create anything we want, but because of that, it kind of made it a little bit more difficult because of all the options we were able to have to create something. It made it a lot difficult to choose one and to choose what it's going to be about. And as I said before, obviously I faced my lack of motivation. It was quite difficult for me to continue because I wasn't motivated to finish this assignment. But in the end, what helped me finish and got through it all is I kind of saw this artwork as, you know, I'm finishing this artwork for me, not as for an assignment, because again, it was my artwork and I was able to express it with any emotion I have, with anything I want. And that ended up being a little bit therapeutic for me because I kind of use this artwork as a way to express my emotions, or whenever I'm feeling down, I just start sketching and continuing with this assignment. And that really helped, viewing the artwork as sort of something for me instead of something for school. And that's how I really got through creating this artwork. Although it looks simple, it's actually quite difficult. Not difficult, but like it was quite hard for me to find the motivation and creativity to finish this artwork. But what about you, Rodiza? Did you have any challenges as well?
Yes, yes, I did have some challenges. One of the biggest challenges that I find is um, using the symbol. As I said, my sketches were more to me trying to use symbols and all that. And at first it was hard because I had to find one or two things that really represents what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking about, and I have to make sure that everyone understands what the drawing is about. And at first it was a bit hard, but at the end I kind of did find something that is easy for everyone to understand. So yeah, at the end I kind of did using the symbol. Yeah, but it was it was like it was okay because I can learn more from there, and to the future I can try to use more complicated ones. So yeah, from there I learned a lot.
Yeah, I do agree with you. There were definitely a lot of things we're able to learn from this, right? And a lot of things we learned that we can interpret in the future, such as, you know, our future can be, you know, stressful. And as we are now, a lot of things are stressing us out. But I kind of see art as sort of a stress reliever. And I think that could really help whenever I'm feeling like I can't express my emotions through, talking or words. I can just interpret that into art, and that could really help, to be sort of a stress reliever and as a way to kind of get my thoughts out without having to talk or do whatever. You could just turn to art because, as I said before, is something that can be so beautiful, and it can be anything really. It doesn't have to be something good. It doesn't even have to make sense because a lot of art don't make sense a lot of the time. At least it's part of our emotions and what makes it real and emotion like realistic is because it's our creation of what we have in mind and what emotions we have, right?
I would agree too. Yes.
So yeah, that's pretty much what we have to say about our visual arts topic. But again, like what I said before, we're here not only to discuss about visual arts, but I'm here to also share with you all about my learning experience throughout this semester's English literature class. Again, I am still accompanied with my partner here, Adiza, to guide me throughout me explaining. So,
So, Jama, you said you're here to share about your English class also. As- would you mind telling us, give us a little brief of what you learned in English class and basically what English class was about?
yeah, of course. Throughout last term's English literature class, we mostly revolved around the two topics of adolescence and mental health, like mental health in adolescence. Yeah, those were the subjects we focused on during the process of this last semester. And yeah, adolescence, is a struggle that I'm sure most of us have experienced or are currently experiencing. It's the period in our lives where we're facing a lot of changes, adapting into new situations, growing out of our childhood. And that can be something that's difficult because, there's so many new situations that we have to adapt to. And surely there are many challenges that we face during this adolescent period of our lives. And that's, I'm pretty sure, a topic that our teacher wanted us to dive more into. And, a novel that perfectly reflects the struggles and challenges of adolescence and being a teen is a novel called The Virgin Suicides, which was a novel that we were assigned to read throughout the process of our third term of learning. Although the title can be a little bit triggering and it might seem like, whoa, it's actually a really beautiful novel and it's really worth reading. And this novel tells the story of the horrible suicides of 5 daughters. And, mostly the novel isn't about, it isn't graphic, it's not really, they have a good meaning and they're mostly talking about the effects, not more to the thing. And throughout the story, we get to experience the sorrow of the 5 sisters and how difficult it was for them to get through their teenage lives. And one of the sisters includes a character called Lutz Lisbon. And for our third term, we were told to read this novel, as I said before. And at the end of the term, we were told to write an essay where we analyze one of the characters from this novel. And I chose Lutz, like I mentioned before. And that essay is what I will be talking about in this Playground of Learning. And I chose to analyze Lux because I find her character to be very unique. You know, although all the sisters have their own uniqueness, I was most attracted to Lux's character.
Okay, that was pretty interesting, the book and the character. Would you mind telling us a bit more about Lux herself? Because you said you're most attracted to her, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, Lux is just like any other teenage girl. You know, she's facing her own challenges. But through the book, we get to see how, you know, Lux is a little bit, you know, the most beautiful out of all the sisters. And, you know, she's the girl next door. And all her guy friends have a crush on her and something like that because what they see most is how beautiful she is. But she's actually much more than that. There's so much more behind her beauty, and there's so much pain that she's going through, and that's what I think that's really interesting, because everyone sees her as this perfect girl and pressure her to be this beautiful young lady, but she actually, that image is bothering her because, as I said, any other teenage girl just wants to live their life, you know, without having to be pictured or viewed a certain way. And you know, she is a little bit rebellious because, I mean, it's normal. As a teenager, we want to experience it to the fullest, and we want to experience our adolescent life, exploring new adventures, finding new experiences, right? But, you know, that's not the case for Lux because she has strict parents, and the parents, and not just like regular strict, they're really, really strict to the point where they make her dress a certain way, and she has to act a certain way in front of people, and that makes it difficult for her, especially during the period where she wants to be the most free. And that really made it difficult for her to get through her teenage years, which led to a pretty sad ending for Lux. And yeah, that's mostly what the novel is about and what the character I chose was about. And yeah, I interpret all that information. I put all that information into one essay. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like almost all of us can relate to that, to the adolescence life and one's freedom and all that as a teenager. What did you learn from the novel? Like, is there like anything new that you've learned from the novel, like from different perspective or something like that?
Yeah, definitely. There were a lot of things I learned from the novel. There's a lot of good messages from the novel, but mostly I see two things, and that is from the sister's perspective and from the parents' perspective. And from the sister's perspective, I kind of I realized even more how it's very important for us to be given the freedom and the chance to explore new things and find our interests in this teenage life of ours, because it's important for us to do that. We want to find new things and find our interests for what we want to do in the future. And obviously, there are so many things that are stressing us out as it is, and the least we can have is freedom. And that is kind of really what I see how it's important, because, you know, as I saw from the novel, the sisters didn't really have freedom, which really affected how their teenage life was. And also from the novel, what I really value about is how the author really keeps the emotions on the surface. The style of writing in the novel is really emotional, and that really helped me understand the novel a whole lot better through an emotional perspective. Like I was really able to feel the emotions the girls feel and their anger and sadness. And yeah, that's how I was really able to understand the novel a whole lot more. I was also able to understand how the sisters feel so trapped by their parents. And I can imagine how difficult that must have been, especially during the period of their lives where they need the freedom to socialize and explore the world, right? And also, as I said before, I also learned a lot from the parents' perspective as well. I also learned from reading this novel. I learned how it is important for the family to check up on their children as well. In the novel, their parents didn't really do that, and that really affected the girls. And I think it's really important for their parents to have done that, and see how they're doing, how they're dealing with the rules given by the parents. And yeah, it's important to make the child feel comfortable at home, especially in an environment where they are every single day. So it's nice to feel comfortable, especially with the family, because it's important to create a warm atmosphere and bond with the children. And as I said, teenage life is already difficult as it is, and having support from the family is more than enough to make it a lot easier. And that's what I really saw from the novel, because the girls really needed support from their family and they didn't really get that, which made it difficult for them. And yeah, that's mostly what I learned from the novel. I hope it makes sense.
Okay. Okay. That was a lot of things that you've learned there. Um, is there any challenges throughout this process? When you were reading the novel or when you were writing the essay, did you find any challenges or, Taraba? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, obviously there were a lot of challenges I faced, but mostly I faced a lot of, it was hard for me to read the novel. As I said before, um, the novel is a pretty heavy topic to take on. And from the title itself, it might seem a little bit, you know, um, triggering for some people. And there were definitely a few scenes and moments in the book where the words are a bit triggering for me, and it was difficult for me to continue reading because it quite bothered me, and it was quite difficult for me to continue reading, especially regarding the mental health issues. But also there were a lot of unusual choice of words, words that I'm not used to saying in my day-to-day life, which made it difficult for me to kind of read it. But in the end, that didn't really bother me, and I realized that it was really worth it to read because there's so much lessons to learn from the novel, as I said before. And usually when I'm having a hard time reading the novel, I would take a break from reading, find something else to read or watch to get my mind off the things that were bothering me from the novel. And during the process of my essay, I also had a lot of lack of motivation, which stopped me from writing. And obviously, because of that, I needed to find ways where I can regain my motivation. And yeah, like I said before, I took breaks. It's really important to take breaks, have some me time and separate my leisure time from my studying time, because when those two are balanced, it could really help for me. And yeah, that's really my challenges and how I overcame them. And
Okay, that was nice to know. I have one last question from me, Gemma, and this is probably the most common question ever. How will you use the things that you've learned in the future? How will you use them in the future?
um Yeah, obviously, like I said before, there were a lot of lessons I was able to learn from reading the novel, whether that be from the lessons, the messages given from the novel, or more to the skills I was able to apply on my day-to-day life. Like from the novel, as I said before, I realized how difficult adolescence can be and how important it is to stay connected with the people around us. Whenever we're feeling down, it's never wrong to share how we're feeling or what's bothering us to the people we trust. And yeah, the book also made me realize how there are so many other people that's struggling with teenage life, just like I am, just like we all are. So it's nice to know that I'm not alone in this and it's something normal that we're facing. And in terms of skill building, I learned how important it is to manage my time well and, set the time whether we need to rest and work. And, it's important for me to finish my work, but it's just as important for me to rest and take a break. Yeah, that's mostly me throughout the process of my assignment.
Okay, wow. That was intense yet awesome explanation and presentation both from Gemma and Radiza. I think that we can all agree from both literature and art, we can reflect ourselves from both art and literature. It helps us to reflect better on ourselves, and as what Gemma said, we can learn how to understand ourselves and how to express ourselves, even without words, right, Gemma? Jadi bisa, so we can express them into arts. Okay, so I am going to write. So I am going to read aloud some positive comments in the sections. There are wait. So Miss Putih said, "Oh, I love Olavor's work. Great inspiration." Okay, and then we have another Putih. Bu Putih. This is interesting and cool. And then another one, an escape from reality, great concept. And from Dimitri Alvaro Window, I get relaxed when I watch entertainment as well. Okay. Aksa Brinaya, yes, great way of thinking. Wow. So I guess all of the audience here are agreed with you guys about the escape from both books, literature, and arts that we get from reading them or enjoying them or simply by making them, that we get that sense of feeling of freedom of with ourselves, sense of belonging juga ya teman-teman. All right, so since we don't have any time left, do you have is there any question here, guys, that you want to ask to Radiza and Gemma? Okay, so we do have like 4 minutes left, so I guess we are going to close the session. I'm going to wrap up the session. Thank you, Radiza and Jemima, for your amazing session and sharing. It's great to see wonderful talents of our students, fellow friends, and what they have learned through our virtual classrooms. I hope that you enjoyed today's session and we have learned something new from today. I would like to remind you that this event does not stop here. After this session, there are still another Cikal Bincang-Bincang, Cikal Talk, and short course from 10 to 11. You can also browse through our virtual gallery to look what is being posted there. You can also see our events on our website or simply check the stream events on Sekolah Cikal official YouTube. Lastly, I would like to say thank you one more time to the audience that here today. Thank you guys and fellow students, proud parents, also respected guests. And last but not least, thank you Gemma and Radiza for the amazing presentation, amazing learning journey that you have shared guys with the audience here. Thank you for having me as your host. My name is Padana and also my partner here, Zia. And see you in the next session. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Ku buka mata sambut mentari, nyalakan layar belajar lagi.
Sudah rindu kembali ke sekolah, tak sabar ingin segera bertemu lagi. Meskipun jauh namun di hati, tawa candamu selalu temani. Meski tak langsung menatapmu kawan.
Thank you, teman-teman. Thank you for the audience as well. Thank you for the positive comments. Alvin, Octario, Pasaman, Hai, Samara, Avani, Khadijah, Nadia, Anjani Putri, dan Ardono. Hello guys. Amira Devanda. Thank you guys for coming to this session. Thank you Kiran, Mikhail, Sidik for the suggestion as well. Oh, there is Budira as well here. Hi Budira. And Bu Anya, hello Bu Anya. Thank you.